Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's March 3rd, 2019. I'm in the house, and today I thought I'd do a bit of a review of a professional weather station system that I've been using for years, and also do a little bit of venting. And I'll explain that in just a moment. How might this pertain to you? Well, if you're a gardener, a homesteader, someone who's building or designing passive solar structures, like our house is a passive solar home, our greenhouse is passive solar, or you really want to keep an accurate information about different areas or zones on your property, so you can really tell when the actual first frost date is, when the last frost date is, and cumulatively keep this data over time on your own property, recognizing different microclimate areas. If you want to know the temperature and humidity in your root cellar, if you want to know what the temperature and humidity is in your thermal mass unit, in your passive solar greenhouse or your passive solar home. So there's really there's a tremendous number of variables that where you can implement use weather stations. It's not just to know what's going on outside in the environment out there. We actually, well, long story short, I've had 3 different weather monitoring systems since we first built this house. So when I built this house, I put thermocouples down in the concrete in different areas underground in the thermal mass unit, in these masonry walls around here that you've seen before, on each floor, in the bathrooms, in the plenum where the air is forced from the peak of the roof, temperatures at the peak of the roof, in the garage, in the mudroom, so I could gather data, accurately see just how efficient our house has been over time and how quickly those changes occur as a result of more southern exposure when we're having a sunny day and so on. So I was really drawn to gathering as much data as possible since we first built this house back in the early 80s. And as time has gone on, I used a second weather system to help me as well. But as time went on, when we became more knowledgeable about microclimates and gardening and farming, and we wanted to keep accurate data in our root cellars and know different parts on our property, what the weather conditions, how variable they are, and they are variable on our property. So ultimately, I spoke with a couple of meteorologists and tried to get what they thought was the most innovative types of weather monitoring systems that a homeowner could invest in. And ultimately, I invested in Acurite. And Acurite, and I'll put a link in the description below, to their website where you can purchase their equipment. Now they sell it every place, Amazon and all different places, and it's there's a great, with the outdoor weather systems, like is in this picture here. We have 2 of those in 2 different locations on the property, and I move them from time to time to see what the conditions are like in the food forest versus the western garden beds versus the central garden beds versus the eastern garden beds. And there's pretty significant differences as far as wind speeds, temperature ranges as well, because of the elevation and the cold air moving down a gradient, creating various microclimates. And I don't want to get into too much of that. We have sensors in the workshop, on different floors, in the office, in the greenhouse, in the chicken coop, in the work areas, in the root cellar, in the sugar shack, all over the house, the mudroom, the garage, and all. And this way I'm able to keep really precise information. Now, some of it isn't accurate. You have to calibrate the weather stations so that you're getting accurate data. But being precise, in other words, very repeatable data, and within a margin of error of being accurate, it's been a very good system. And I've mentioned this in several videos, the Acurite systems that I've been using. And I know, oh, excuse me, I just bumped the table where the camera is. I know several people who have gone ahead and invested in these systems. About a year ago, now we're going to get to the point where I'm disappointed with Acurite. Oh, and let me say a couple other things. We had an electrical storm, and I lost one of my my monitoring hubs. It's a smart hub, where you have a wireless signaling going to a central station, and that hooks up to their remote location, and you can monitor the data on your smartphone, on your computer, whatever it is that you have. And that was always really good. And I had one of the smart hubs, and this is one of the smart hubs here, go bad. And I spoke with them at their technical support, and they sent me out a replacement for that. And that was a couple of years ago, I think. And I had shared with them some thoughts that I had about modifying their systems. Like right now, the way that the system hooks up is, although you have all of these pieces of equipment and it's networked, so each one of these have a Cat 6 cable going to it, so I can monitor on my computer systems and all systems. But they use their remote monitoring system, so the data goes to their servers elsewhere, and then that information comes back here. And I never really liked that system. I wanted to be able to control it here. And about a year ago, in email correspondence, they would let us know they're no longer going to be supporting these smart hubs, and these are $129 a piece, I think, is what they cost. And I've invested quite a bit into these systems. I actually have I have 5 of these smart hubs, this style here, and I have one of their newer smart hubs. So when they sent out the emails and all, I went ahead and I think they gave out like a 25% discount to get one of their new smart access. I think it's called their access hubs. And so I ordered one of those, and the potential benefit of it is that if the power goes out, it's got 3 AA batteries in them, and therefore you won't lose that data. It'll get reported back to the server when the power goes back on, and you can see what the temperatures were and all during that time period. Now I have all of these on uninterrupted power supplies and on surge suppressors. So after that first losing one of these units, I made sure that all of mine are that way. So I have 5 of these and 1 of the access points. Each one of them are filled with various temperature and humidity sensors that are all over the property and all. And what I didn't realize, as the correspondence came by, they said, geez, on February 28th, 2019, they're no longer going to be servicing these devices. So I thought, okay, well, if it breaks or whatever, I just buy a new one at that point. Well, what they ended up doing was disconnecting all of these smart hubs. And the other thing that they did away with their phone support, so you can't really talk to a person. You can get on a chat. So I got on a chat, and I was number 16 in line. It was well over an hour before they got to me. So the benefit of being on a phone support, well, it's much easier. You can actually move around. I could get things done while waiting on phone support. I could walk around. Whereas where you're waiting for the chat, you've got to stay right by your computer and all. So that I'm very disappointed about. And I was actually very upset on the 28th when all of these systems went down. They aren't mission critical, but they really let me down by not letting me use. So 5 of these units, each one has 7 temperature and humidity sensors that feed into it. So these things cost $129 a piece or $130 a piece, and I can't remember how much each one of the temperature, but let's say they're $100 a piece. There's 35 of the remote sensors that are no longer functional, and 5 of these that are no longer functional. Now I still have 7 systems hooked up to that one access unit, and I called them up. I said, well, you totally shut down all of the systems in a chat I did, and they said, well, we can offer you a 25% discount on replacing these. So I could buy 5 more of the smart access hubs, which are the same as these smart hubs, just that they have you can put 3 of your batteries in them, so that it will maintain the data. These all work perfectly. They no longer work because they're tied to their central system. So I'm really upset. Acurite, you got it wrong. You're removing your phone support, I think, is a major loss. I'm not sure the reasons why you're doing these things, but considering these seems obsolete when they work absolutely well, this just puts more waste into our already overfilled landfill systems. It's an insult to those of us that really want to be environmentally conscious and do the right thing. And it's a way of making sure that you've got us on the hook for added expenses. I can see if you no longer want to have these running through your systems, just let me use these locally on my own system. I paid for each one of these, over $600 for these 5 units. And all of those several $100s, multiple $100s, and all the temperature and humidity probes that I have and weather stations I have are no longer of any value. My monitoring, my digital displays, the color graphic displays that I have that are in each one of the buildings are no longer of value because they no longer work for those locations as well. So you really dropped the ball and you gave us the shaft. So those of you who are homesteaders or building and designing more energy efficient homes, and you really want to compile some data so you can know how to tweak the system so your homes operate more efficiently, you can preserve your food better because you can know what the humidity is in the environment that you're keeping those stored foods in as well. I'd say Acurite is not the right place. It's the wrong place. So Acurite, I hope you see this video. And reach out to me and let me know what you're going to do about this, because I think what you're doing really is taking advantage of those of us who have not only been loyal customers, but we've been supporters and actually have gotten other people to buy into your systems. So that's it for this video, folks. I'm sorry it's a bit of a downer, but I wanted to share these experiences and so that you know the sort of customer service that you're going to get with a company like Acurite. They were great. I don't know what happened to Acurite, but you got it wrong. Take care, folks. Bye-bye now.